Hello, welcome Lifessa Lounge, episode 5. So today we're talking about the key skills. Key skills needed not only in business, but can be in your normal 9 to 5 jobs.
So I think it's. I wanted just to start touching on some more practical things that people can have as a takeaway.
Yeah.
And I think for me, every individual kind of venture you work, so every individual type of business and every individual type of career has certain skills which are specific to that. So obviously you've got your job, you've got accountancy, etc. You have things that are specific to that, but I think there are underlying qualities that can help you succeed in whatever you're applying yourself to.
Yeah.
So whether it's a new business venture or whether it's your existing career, I think there are just some underlying points on there. So you've got things like being able to communicate with people, for example. That for me is a key, and I think it's a massively overlooked skill for me.
When you say communicate, in what ways? You mean verbal and non-verbal, written, emails?
I think it's a mixture of
I think it's all of them. So if you're going to go on to the importance of body language, I think that requires this whole own piece, right? But I think it's a balance of both. I think fundamentally I'm talking about the way that you communicate to people. I think verbally is a strong start-off point. I know that I struggle when I'm surrounded by a lot of people who, for me, there's a beauty in brevity, right? And I get lost in these conversations where people are talking, and they're talking for half an hour. They're using 10,000 words for something they could have said in 10. And I think that's a communication quality, right? Can you cut through and make sure that you get your clear message across, rather than spending a lot of time saying so much fluff around it that actually, when you get to your key point, people have turned off. So I think that is part of the communication skill, but then the ability to be able to actually communicate with people in the first place. So before you can even get to that straight clarity of what you're saying and cutting through, you need to build up your skills to be able to communicate with people, because you're never going to make it in life without other people involved, right, or in your career. So I think there's a balance of understanding how to communicate effectively with those, and that's across the different mediums as well.
I'll say communicating is a two-way street as well. It's not only the input, it's also the output. Having the ability to understand or listen or taking what someone else is trying to communicate back to you. So it's having a skill set to communicate to someone. So that's the input. Having also the understanding to the ability to understand output and take in the output. So it's a two-way thing. So if someone sends you an email, someone's communicating to you, you're actually actively listening, you're actively participating in the conversation. Usually, a lot of times with conversations, people have a one-way conversation where one person is talking, other person is waiting to respond. So not actually listening. So I think communication is a two-way street where, yes, it's important to get your input, but it's also important to take in the output.
Well, like 100%, I totally agree, because like we're saying, when you're communicating anything really, there is a two-way thing. So I think, especially me in what my day-to-day job is, communicating is probably one of the biggest things, and I like to think that I'm quite strong at it. It's because I do listen and I understand, and I also care. So I think that's also a big point as well, is that you have to try and care about what the other person is trying to say to you, and you can't just have your own agenda.
Yeah.
You have to then relay that back to what it is that they're looking for, what it is that they want, and what it is that they're going, so you can then communicate that back.
Also, people shouldn't have the fear to ask for clarity. If you don't understand something, or if you have someone communicate something to you, you don't understand what they're trying to get to, do not be afraid to say, sorry, I don't understand what you're saying.
A lot of people are.
Yeah, a lot of people are. They fear looking stupid.
But it's the person who's the communicator as well.
Yeah.
To say that to them, and maybe make them feel at ease to say, don't worry, ask me any questions. Don't be afraid to ask any questions, because there's no silly questions. Because a lot of people that come through, they ask it.
So I think, but when you say the communicator, so there's a differentiator here, right? You were right. Communication is the whole package. So the speaker, when you're saying that, your person who's delivering it, I think listening is a massively overlooked skill, because I completely agree with that. You have conversations with people, and it frustrates the hell out of me, because I know when I'm having a conversation with a person who's not listening to what I'm saying and they are just waiting to jump in. They've already decided what their response is, so much so that all they're listening for when I'm speaking is a brief gap in time where they can jump in, right? So I think it's massively overlooked, the ability to actively listen to people, and that goes on. It kind of gives hand in hand, because yes, caring completely comes in, but it goes hand in hand of, again, with this is a business or in your career, when you actively listen to people, then you start to understand what it is they actually want, what their problems are, right? So if you've got a new business and you need to be setting out to solve a real problem, how do you solve a real problem? You listen to people and understand what that is. If you're going out in your career, what you'll find is, however, whatever route you're trying to take on, when you can listen actively to what is being said to you, you understand what needs to be done. So you're different to that person who's already come in and said, I already know what I need to do to succeed. And then they go and deliver something. And a good example is where somebody delivers a solution and the person says, well, that doesn't meet my requirements. But what were your requirements? But what do you mean? You didn't have that conversation in the first place. It's that open-mindedness. So I think communication is that whole piece for me. If I was going to say it, listening is probably bigger than speaking, just because I believe that it's a skill that completely is overlooked. I think so many people just listen passively rather than actively.
I agree, and also I think you have to be there in the moment, in the sense that a lot of times I find in today's generation, we're all on our phones, and when sometimes a conversation, you're being distracted by what's on your phone, so you're looking at your phone and actually paying attention to the person. I think there's an importance of being there in the moment and understanding that the importance of being there. And what I mean by that is that not just being there, being actively there with the person, and so you communicate with the person, you're not getting distracted by the outside world.
Well, it's the active listener, right?
Yeah.
That's the active versus the passive.
Yeah.
That's the active versus I'm listening to you, Leon, and you can see that I'm listening to you when I'm talking to you, as opposed to the look, I'm talking to you. Yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening to you out here. I'm listening to you out of my right ear, but I'm going to continue on my phone, kind of thing. So, and that's the difference. So you do need to be in the moment, but I think that falls down to that is part of you having that ability to actively listen to what people are trying to say. So I think that's wherever you're trying to go in life. That's just do you know what? This even extends outside business and career. Communication and listening. Again, I will just drum in there. Just so essential. Don't be that person who is not an active listener, listens passively, because what you'll find is people don't enjoy interacting with you. Yeah. They just don't.
But that's not really something that you really need to learn either, is it? That's something that you could just start to do.
But it's also having that self-awareness to do it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that they're doing it. A lot of people don't know that they're just waiting to jump in.
But then maybe they need some feedback.
Yeah, and that's it.
Well, I think you need to get. I do think it's not something you need to. It goes in over a lot of the stuff we say. You need to take the actual action to address it. So Josh is right in that you need to have the awareness, or someone needs to feed that back to you.
Yeah.
But then you need to take that feedback on board and say, actually, I'm going to start this.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that if you're not good at it, you do have to focus on it in the first instance until it becomes habitual. So as much as you say it's not one of those things that you learn, it's one of those things that you develop. If you haven't got it, you actually do need to practice it on an ongoing basis.
Just being able to actively listen to somebody.
How many times do you have conversations with people where they are not taking on board what you're saying because they are not listening to what you're saying? They're listening.
Maybe
they're
I'm just thinking about myself, but I just think that if you're talking to somebody, you will listen to them.
Okay, no one.
Other than when football's on,
maybe.
That's something different.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? At that point in time, you're passively listening, and a lot of people do that, even when you're in a conversation.
But that's more when it's not. That's not really a serious conversation, but maybe.
What's serious conversation? If you're in a debate with someone about football and the person's not listening to you and they're just waiting for you to jump in.
No. What I meant before was like, I might be watching football.
I know, but I'm going back. I'm going back to the sense that if you're having a debate and it's not serious, it's having the ability to
debate about football.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's having the ability to actively listen and not just jump in and wait for the person to start speaking, so then you can jump in and interject what you've got to say.
The problem with that's more of a debate, and we're talking about just.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it. It just. I'm trying to.
Because debates, I don't know, I think a lot of the mentality when somebody is debating, maybe I'm just thinking about my own circle, but is to try and prove a point rather than actually listening. And so I can get your point from that.
But even in the day to day, even in an instant, if you're okay, maybe Josh has captured it a bit better and being there in the moment. If you're in a meeting and somebody is presenting to you and putting stuff across, just because I'm looking at what they're saying doesn't mean I'm necessarily. My mind may be in loads of different places, right? So if somebody's looking at you when you're speaking to them, do not assume that they are fully consuming everything that they're actually absorbing everything that you're taking in. They probably aren't. They might have this, that, or the other on their mind. It's the best way to put it. It's active because listening feels like it should be passive because you've just got your ears and sound is hitting them, but it's not that. You actively need to absorb and consume what is being said to you. You take that on board and you build that into how you respond to anybody who's talking, and then you build a fruitful interaction, right? And that is why it's essential why if you're setting out on a new business or if you're in your career, it's that ability. The active listening is what goes on once it goes in your ears.
It's also the same thing in relationships. A lot of time in relationships with your partner, a lot of time we as men, we say that women nag a lot and we tend to switch off when they're talking, so they might be saying loads of things and we wait for key words so then we can jump in and say, no, but I said this. So it's just having the ability to actively listen to what they're saying, even if you don't want to hear what they're saying. It's having the skill set to say, well, I'm actually actively listening to what she's got to say and take on some of her points on board, so then I can come back and then have a fruitful conversation with her instead of just shutting off when she's talking and then talking when you want to talk. It's not only workplace, it's not only in being an entrepreneur, it's also in relationships with people. Yeah. So that's when you have to actively listen. But I want to move on because I want to go on to having the skill set to manage your time. Because I think time management is very important in being successful in anything. Really.
Yeah.
So I think the ability to manage your time and prioritize your time is a massive skill set to have.
Yeah, completely. So you know my feeling on that. I've touched on it before. There is no bigger asset in life than time, right? Because it's the one thing that clock ticks over, 24 hours. Clock gets to the end, 24 hours again. You've got it, I've got it, everybody's got it. It's the only thing. Money can fluctuate, time doesn't. No one's going to invent more time, right? It's as simple as that. So I completely agree with you. You need to be able to manage your time most effectively to increase your productivity, right? So that means when you're laying out your time, don't just work hard, work smart, right? So you need to be able to allocate whatever it is you're doing, and again, it works if you're going into your day in the office or if you're building up your new business, you need to map out, right, these are the things that I'm going to do. Different people go about it in a different way. Some people will, personally, on a Sunday, I map out what I need to do for the week. Some people do it the night before, some people get up and do it early in the morning. I think it's imperative in whatever pursuit that you're going on, you need to have that ability to set out time to get your kind of to-do list and your plan, whether that's a week plan, whether that's a day plan. You need to have that, because what I find is when people don't do that, they get to the end of any day of whatever they're working on and they've worked hard but they haven't been productive. The reason they haven't been productive is because they tackle one thing and then they go, actually, I've got past this, now they need to spend time on what they need to do next, right? And I think too, and also it helps address another one of the things which is a key quality that you need. You need to be able to deal with the big rocks. And you need to deal with the big rocks and get them out of the way at the top of your list. I think a lot of people, they map out even when they map out their to-do list, what they say is, right, this is how I'm going to effectively manage my time. They know there is something critical that they need to do. They know it's important that they do it, but what they do is they try to shift it off to further down the line, right? Again, it falls back to that procrastination piece. Yeah. So I think you really need to be able to increase your time management. If you don't have it at the moment, and not everybody does, I used to be really bad with my time, to be honest. I've got a lot better with it, so you need to have that ability to manage your time, which couples in with that discipline. And discipline, again, is quality across the board. So your time management and your discipline will ensure that you can get the most productivity out of what you're doing, as opposed to just being a hard worker who's always running, but you're running against the wind and never moving anywhere, right? So I think that's another key point.
I agree with that. 100%, because it's all about the planning, it's all about time management, but you do have some people that are just not good at time management, and then it's just having that self-awareness. Really, why are you smiling?
Because when you say, every time you say there are some people that aren't good at time management, I'm like, these are things that you can develop.
These are fundamentals.
But those people that aren't good, they'll get somebody that will help them manage their time.
Well, just to be clear, there are fundamental skills that you can't circumvent.
Why can't you manage your time? I don't understand when people say I'm not very good at times.
Somebody who's got a PA manages their time for them, books in their diary.
But they also manage their own time, because they make sure that the PA manages their time. They manage their time. Yeah, they prioritise.
A PA may manage their time though.
No, but no. Not having this because a PA may manage your diary.
Yeah.
They don't manage your time.
Yeah.
You still so they manage your diary, and part of you managing your time is you've delegated because this is a big part of what you're doing as well. Is when you're in a career or a new venture, you have to have that ability to delegate. That's just a natural thing.
Well,
so
that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but delegation of activities is part of managing your time. You still need, and you may not be good at it, but I just refuse to accept the fact that there are things that people just flat out say, well, I'm not good at. There are certain weaknesses where I'm like, do you know what? Punch away at your strengths and avoid some of your weaknesses and bring other people in, right? But time management is not one of those. I expect people to follow. You need to actively develop that. And like I say, and we'll touch on that. One of the videos I do on self-awareness is I'm a full believer in, right, understand what your strengths are and then know what your weaknesses are. But do you know what? I don't need to fix all my weaknesses. I'm not a believer in one. I'm not one of those who feels that I need to be brilliant at everything. There are points where I'm weak and I will go and get somebody in. Time management is one of those fundamentals where regardless of whether you delegate stuff out, that is still part of being able to manage your time.
Just want to be clear, I don't have a PA. I manage my own time, and I'm quite good at time management. And I do agree with what you're both saying. I just think that there are some people.
But that's why. That's why I smile when you say it, because every time you say that, I think of people that have said that to me.
Yeah.
I'm not good at this. I'm not good. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
The difference between me and you is that
You probably got to take the time out, isn't it?
You got to take time out and say, and also it's not a thing you do. It might not be an overnight thing. It's a thing that you can work towards. So you say like, I've got a diary and I want to be on time for this week. I want to map what I'm doing this week, and I want to achieve everything, tick everything off. Yeah. And then next week you say, okay, I want to get even better at this. So it's a gradual progression. People think that everything's overnight. It's not overnight. It can be a progression where you actually develop those skill sets.
Yeah.
Not everyone is born being great at time management. I agree. However, everyone can develop time management.
I think time management as well is also is having the right mindset, because I think to myself, I know I set out my clothes for the week, I iron all my stuff for the week. When I get into work, I have my to-do list, and going back to what you said about the big rocks, I try to take out the biggest things earlier on and leave the little things later. But sometimes the mentality, you may then think, you know what?
Discipline.
That's it. That's what it's going to. Discipline. I might. I don't know. I can't bother to iron my shirt tonight, and then that then eats into my time tomorrow morning, and you know what I mean.
I'd say that although we're doing a podcast on key skills, I say that it's not. I know Ben coming across like discipline. We're trying to work towards an ideal, so it's a progression. So there'll be days where you think, oh, I can't really bother to iron my clothes tonight. That might be a slip up, but make sure you're continuously being aware that you have to build that into your lifestyle. It's not the thing where, because it's not the thing where it has to be done like this. Yeah, I agree. That's I agree. I have to say that's an ideal, but it's also an ideal you should be working towards and trying. It's not an ideal where you think you can't achieve it, because you can achieve it. It's just that it's a process. It's not an instant overnight. You can be, and you might be able to do it instant overnight, but you should be working towards it.
Yeah, and we're not trying to put across, this is what you need to. So this isn't presented as, this is what, if you don't have these skills, then you're fair. This is what will help you across the board, right? Yeah. So that if you look at it and say, well, actually, I'm not good at that now, then you take the time out. Not everybody is good at time management. Not everybody is good at communication. Not everybody is good at actively listening, right? But this is the thing. This is intended to make you reflect and choose on that. So then, and again, there are other things in there like I have a typical one for me, which is, and again, it's across the board. If it's a new business, and I mentioned what it says for listening, but become a problem solver, right? But wherever you're going in life, always seek out where the key problems are and look to provide a solution for those. Because I'm telling you, if you can continue going throughout wherever the path is for your business, if you can relentlessly pursue solving problems, you're going to make it, right? If you're in a career and you can seek out operational issues and fix those and bring a solution, I guarantee your management above you are going to love you, and then you'll go up to the next level, and then you might seek out where this problem exists and you delegate out via your team for your time manager to fix that. But you need to be skilled in.
But being a problem solver, does that not then come back to being good at your craft and knowing what you're doing? Because I don't think you can just become a problem solver.
When you say problem solver, I think he's talking about in specifics. I mean, being a problem solver in general, having the ability to see a problem and solve it. It's not saying, oh, how am I? So I'm not the greatest video editor, but I can develop those skills, and then if I can't, I'll go, how can I solve these issues? And I might bring someone else in that will help me solve the issue.
Alright.
So it's not always...
Yeah, I get.
Because I'm telling you, it's across the board. So if I've got an account, if you've got a problem, it might be an accountancy problem. If I've got a problem, it might be a different type of problem. What I'm saying is, whatever environment you're in, seek out to find the problems, because I can't even understand why you wouldn't do that, because it's part of how you deliver value in, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm saying become a problem solver, not a problem in a certain, I'm not being prescriptive on what niche that is in, or industry or business that you're setting up. I'm saying that again, this is an underlying thing that you should have. Work out, go into there and understand, right, these are the big problems. If I can fix these problems, I bet I can beat my competition. My competition who's just running and trundling on a day-to-day basis, habitual routine, doing the same things because that's what they've become used to. I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, do you know what? I'm going to spend one day trying to figure out where all the problems are. Then I'm going to spend the next 4 to 6 weeks, months, whatever it is, fixing those. And then you're gonna beat, hands down, the person who's just following the same routine, right? And again, that is across the board. If it's in your career, you'll be the person who fast tracks yourself up. If it's a new business, then as long as you work hard at it, if you're looking at the problems and you're working relentlessly to solve them, you'll beat your competition.
Well,
straight up will.
And it also will help work in your personal life as well. If you can solve problems in your personal life, it helps you. I think it works in everything.
Well, I think that then comes back to as well, we've mentioned it in probably all of our podcasts so far, but hard work, being able to work hard and be willing to put that graft in, because if you've got a problem, it's going to take hard work
to
then solve
and
that.
Smart work, not just being hard work. And some people work hard and they don't get anywhere. It's also having the ability to be intelligent with your work.
Does that also go back to time management?
Time management, prioritisation, planning, discipline. They all enable you to work smarter. If you don't have that, then you'll work hard, and a lot of times you work hard and you won't get anywhere. So you have to be able to have the time planning, the discipline, the prioritisation, and that all encompasses and becomes hard work. Hard and smart work. It's not hard work.
I would say work ethic. Wouldn't even say hard work. Work ethic, because that builds all of that in. But you need to have that. Whatever you're going to set out in, at the start, it's always going to be difficult, right? So you have to have that strong work ethic, because you can go into any job, you can go into any business, right? And you can just turn up and be lazy. And if it's in a career, you might have a 9 to 5 and you're happy to go into one of those mundane jobs where you just pick up a phone and you don't really have to apply yourself, right? And you're happy with that. And if you're happy with it, do you know what? Cool, you're all good. But what I'm saying is, if you want it across the board, these are the key skills that you need to be able to actually make a success. You need to have a strong work ethic. And it comes to some people easier. Like me, particular strength for me is I have a strong work ethic. I don't need to continually keep developing on that. But there are people who may not have a strong work ethic, and they need to build it up along the way.
I think I do. Actually.
I don't have a strong work ethic. I'm naturally lazy. I naturally want to chill out. But I know that if I don't...
Yeah, well, that ain't going to cut it. That's the wrong person.
I know that I have to work hard to be successful.
But you're self-aware.
So I'm self-aware that I know naturally I want to relax. So I know that I have to work hard to get to where I want to go. So I built it into my lifestyle. Okay, well, take for example, day one of the gym. I started the gym when I was 17 years old. I was really skinny. I was posing in the mirror. One big guy came up to me. He said, "What are you doing? What are you posing in the mirror for?" And I was like, "Well," I goes, "How old are you?" I said, "I'm 17." He goes, "Well, I'm 35. You've got 70 years to catch up to me. If you've got to come to the gym when you don't want to, you've got to come to the gym when you're sick. You've got to come to the gym when the days when you want to stay at home, watch TV. If you're not going to do that, leave now." And I looked at him and I was like, I can do this. And I've done it. I've been training I'm 32 in December. I'm training now for like 15 years. And I've taken that on board. I've literally said, well, if I don't want to go to the gym, I still have to go to the gym. It's my lifestyle. I built it into my lifestyle. And I think that's the same way with everything. If you build work effort into your lifestyle, you become successful.
Yeah, well, me personally, in any job I've done, I've always had that work ethic, and I've always progressed and moved up because I'm willing to take on board and I'm willing to work hard. So yeah, I definitely think work ethic is something which is very important. And then moving on, having that drive to want to be successful, because like you said, you get some people in a job, and as I said, we're talking about some people in jobs as well, they don't really want to progress. They're happy just being at whatever level. I've always had that drive, ambition.
Some people are ambitious, some people are not.
Yeah.
It happens in life.
And again, if you're cool where you are, then it's fine.
Of
But
course,
yeah, completely. And really, so you need to say again, you need that drive. So, I mean, whenever I've spoken to people before, when I land in one place, I'm always looking for how I get to the next place. I don't ever want to stop in the stand.
Yeah.
So yeah, completely need that drive and confidence and that belief in yourself. And again, that goes across the pillars. It's just absolutely. These are just underpinning essentials that you really, if you don't have them right now, the drive, the confidence, the belief one, I think we always touch on that. That's probably the most difficult one for people who don't have it right now to adopt, because they need to, that's when they need to do that self-assessment of themselves, and they just need to work out, okay, do you know what, actually I'm not great in this space. I just need to take the action to start believing in myself. I need to take the action to start gaining my confidence.
Does that then go back as well to putting yourself out of your comfort zone and putting yourself out there to fail? To then fail, bounce back, fail, bounce back, fail, bounce back.
Yeah, but
I don't say seek to fail. I say seek to succeed, and if you fail, bounce back.
Okay.
I don't think you should.
But I mean, putting yourself out there, out of your comfort zone, I think is that would help you.
But I just think that comes with your drive. I wouldn't encapsulate that into this conversation about the key skills. I think that your drive will force you to take steps that you wouldn't necessarily always do. So I think that it does kind of factor into it. I think that the drive and the confidence, they kind of encapsulate that in themselves. I think it is essential. I mean, for me, like I say, the underlying things that I think we need to take away from this is again, and I always like us to just wrap up what we're talking about, so people, when they get to the end of it, they're like, right, so what is it that I need to go away and do?
Yeah.
And you need to understand that time management, that drive and confidence is key. What are the other ones that we've gone through? It's been
time management, communication is key.
Yeah.
The ability to actively listen, the ability to communicate non-verbally and verbally with other people, and actually be there in the moment, and having that level of self-awareness.
And then also time management.
We've always said time management, and also the ability to be a problem solver.
Yeah.
So that comes in everything. So problem solver at work, problem solver if you're being an entrepreneur, problem solver in your day-to-day life. Just having the ability to look at something and say, how can I solve this?
I just wanted to extend that out because I feel like I do a lot of talking some of the time. I'm sure people get fed up and listen to me.
So if you take those principles that we talked about, the time, so gone through it again, time management is important. The ability to prioritise, communication is key. The ability to develop a work ethic, and the final one, the ability to become a problem solver.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think if you take those things away and work on them and develop them,
they'll work across the board, right? They just do.
So so once again, you can find us on SoundCloud at Lifessa. You can find us on Facebook at Life Central Advice. You can find us on iTunes at Lifessa, on YouTube at Lifessa. But if you search for Lifessa Lounge, you'll find us easier, and on Instagram as well, Lifessa.
And then check out the website, lifessa.com, right?
Yeah.